Welcome back to Everything Goes. What the fuck you laughing for? Bro, because you look over at me smiling.
Yeah, but what my man was about to say was, welcome back to Everything Goes.
We back in the studio today. I got my man John.
Yeah.
Got my man E to the right.
I'm back in this, John.
We back.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into it today. We got 2 segments for you guys. The first segment is going to be how impressive has the rookie quarterbacks been in the NFL?
I graded them all on a scale of 10.
Got you.
So Jaden, I got him at a 10 out of 10. Caleb, I got him 6.5, and then Bo, I got 4.
Ooh.
So Jaden,
4 is crazy.
yeah, 4 out of 10. I'll get into him. But Jaden, I got these stats here. He's 1,135 passing yards, 300 on the ground, 8 total touchdowns, and he got 4 turnovers. He is the first player in NFL history to have 1,000 passing and 250 rushing through their first 5 games. I say he's a 10 out of 10 in terms of impressive because they are currently leading our division and they have quality wins. They only L this year was against Baker, I believe in week 1. And that's, every rookie struggle their first week. And then from that point on, he has turned it up. Caleb, I say 6.5. He's close to 1,100 passing, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. One thing I can say about Caleb, though, he's consistently getting better. Every week, I feel like he's gotten better. The first 2, we was out there like, why was he the number 1 pick? Mm-hmm. Last 3 weeks or so, he's been good. He's had 2 300 passing yard games in that span. And then Bo, I say 4 out of 10 because he just 866 passing yards. Now he's looked poop, but his team. We kind of had this conversation in the group chat, but his team total has good quality wins. But him himself, he's kind of been he hasn't really shown us anything. Where it's like, oh my God, Bo Nix, but he hasn't really done anything to lose his team games. So it's that's how I got him ranked.
Okay.
For me, I didn't necessarily grade them on a number scale. I just was looking at their overall production and the situation that they're in. Jaden is doing what he's supposed to do with the team not necessarily what he's supposed to do, but Jaden is playing good football right now. I can't say anything different than that. His 10 out of 10 grade, I made a face when he said 10 out of 10 because I'm just like, nobody's perfect, but in reality, what can you say bad about what he's doing right now? They putting him in a position to succeed, and he's showing them that y'all made the right pick and drafted me. So I have nothing to say about Jaden beyond that. Bo, like he said, Bo on a week-to-week basis doesn't do things consistently where you like, okay, I see why you were drafted in the first round, drafted higher than what you were projected to get drafted at, and drafted to be a starting quarterback. But what I will say is, considering the level of play that he's getting from his defense right now, he's not selling them. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And those predicaments, we talked about the 10-9 victory over the Jets, where they scored 1 touchdown and one team scored touchdowns for both teams in the whole game. That 1 touchdown come from Bo Nix. Gotcha. And then even I think it was a week. That was fine. Yeah, exactly. Like that's in the second half of the game, like in championship rounds, right?
Yep.
So on that scale, I'll give Bo Nix a C+ grade. Like, you doing what you're supposed to do. You passing, you getting by. Not doing anything impressive, but you're not necessarily losing games for that squad either. So I'll let Bo pie on that pass. And then Caleb, I guess because of the hype that was surrounding him, I'm disappointed in Caleb. Just because I feel like outside of him adjusting as a rookie, I'm still seeing him miss throws. And that's where I'm like, the same way we see A-Rod missing throws and is, what are you doing? Like, what's going on with A-Rod in season whatever? it's the same thing with Caleb sometimes. Not necessarily your thinking, because I understand that the thinking, the pace of the game, all of that is going to trigger things, and you're going to have to grow and elevate, adjust to this style of football. But just some of the throwing mistakes that I see him make from a quarterback talent perspective is, where does that come from?
Got you.
So
So
I'm sorry, real quick. Then who's been more impressive in your opinion, Bo or Caleb?
I think given what they have in their systems, Bo. Just because Bo is finding ways to win games. I think that Caleb barely escaped the Titans game. The Bears defense
His
held
defense
him
won
over.
that
Yeah,
game.
so it's like the wins that Caleb has, I don't even think, not to say he hasn't contributed to those wins, but I think that in some of those games that he won that was close games, he was part of the reason why it was close and not for a good reason.
got you. So,
Solid.
So Ian, I actually completely agree with you, but we have a different viewpoint of Bo Nix. So I got it number one. I got Jaden Daniels for obvious reasons. He's playing the best football, not just as a rookie. He's playing top 3 quarterback football in the league right now. You can argue. So he's looking great. Like John said, you mentioned the numbers. He got good wins on his resume. They beat the Bengals and they beat the Cardinals. Those are 2 good teams. The Cardinals just beat the 49ers, 2 weeks ago? And so you got him at number 1. At number 2, I also put Bo Nix down at number 2. The reason I put him at number 2 is he's 3-2, and yeah, they beat the Jets, they beat the Bucks. In that Bucks game, he is a huge reason for why they won that game. Okay, he may have not did so much against the Jets, but to beat the Bucks, and at that time the Bucks was undefeated. I know we only 5-6 weeks into the season, but the Bucks looked like a legitimate team, and he went on the road and he beat them.
But he had 2 touchdowns in the air,
one
one on the ground.
No, it was
like 47 yards.
It was 1-1. 1 touchdown in the air, 1 on the ground.
Yeah, so that was a great win. So he got 3 touchdowns in the air, 4 interceptions, but he also got 120 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So
Yep.
6 total touchdowns, 4 turnovers. He don't have no fumbles, so that's 6-4. So
Right.
I got him at number 2 behind behind Jaden Daniels, and I got Caleb at number 3 for obvious reasons to me, like Ian brought up. His wins, I'm not gonna say I don't credit him for the wins. Like for the first one against the Titans, okay, cool. The second win, they beat the Panthers, and everybody scream out the Panthers are the worst team in the league. They don't give nobody else credit for beating them, so you can't really,
It's facts.
you can't really get them credit for beating the Panthers. And then you look at, okay, they beat the Rams with no wide receiver core. They beat the Rams with no offensive weapons. So you beat a handicapped Rams team, a Panthers team, and a Titans team.
And you barely escape world leaders.
Which your defense won you the game, and you putting your offense and your team in harm's way week after week. Like you making good throws, but then for every good throw you make, it's a throw that is like, okay, we understand it because you're a rookie, so
Right.
I'm not grading you on that crazy of a scale, but you're just not playing number 1 or number 2 rookie quarterback.
Right.
If you're gonna be the number 1 pick, that's kind of disappointing, like Ian said. So I agree with that.
That's them expectations, man. Caleb wasn't the number 1 pick. We probably be like, oh yeah, he kind of going crazy. Yeah, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks, 3-2, 300 passing yard games.
But for you to be
If he was Drake May, I'll take it.
If he was Drake May,
But
he'd be rookie of the year.
He's not Drake May. He's Caleb Williams. Like,
Oh.
So if we don't have anything else, we just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna move on to the second segment of today, going over to the NBA. The NBA, they did a interview with the GMs and they asked them a few questions and they got their opinions on the best players at each position. So we're gonna start with point guard.
Run through them. You got them there. Run through them all real quick.
We're gonna start. You want to run through it all?
Yeah, run through them all.
So at point
Tell the
guard,
fans.
at point guard for number 1, they got Luka. He received 37% of the vote. You got Shea at number 2. That played for OKC with 30% of the vote. You got Steph that played for Golden State at number 3 with 23% of the vote. You got Jalen Bronson, that played for New York at number 4 with 10% of the vote. That's for the point guard list. For the shooting guard list,
Just the first 2.
First two.
First 2.
For the shooting guard list, you got Anthony Edwards coming in at number 1, played for Minnesota with 33% of the votes. At number 2, you got Devin Booker that played for Phoenix with 23% of the vote. At number 3, you got Shea that played for OKC with 20% of the vote. At number 4, you got Steph that played for the Warriors with 10% of the vote. At 5, you got Luka who played for the Mavs with 7% of the vote. And 2 other people that got votes was Jaylen Brown and Derrick White. So we're going to start with point guards. I need you guys' opinion on that.
I agree with the GM poll. I think Luka is. I don't want to say hands down because it's always a debate. But I think his body of work and what he just did this past season, what he's been doing consistently, is should have him at that top tier. And his only competition, I think, in my opinion, from the point guard spot, like I know a couple people have multi-position votes. Like Luka is nominated for point guard, shooting guard, and then small forward. We'll get there, but he got votes for small forward. I think his only comp should be Steph, really. But Steph hasn't been, I guess, the step that we know. Yeah, like the unanimous MVP type of stuff. But I think they got it right with Luka being a point guard. It's a shame that man don't have an MVP yet, but he still got many years to play. So I agree with the GMs.
I'm gonna agree as well. I think Luka is, like you said, not by far, but there's no better answer than Luka. Like you said, regarding what he do for his team. What's been around besides last year where Kyrie was there and we see what he can do with JB was there for a little bit, but that was before JB morphed into this version of himself. Yeah. So what he's done in the past, his numbers has been consistent since he's been in the league for real. And even if you're looking at just what you expect from a point guard, if you just look at the assist numbers for compare between Luka and the rest of this list right now, it's not close. You could argue. You could argue that
no, it's not.
You could argue that Shea and Steph are naturally two guards on their team, like naturally. On paper, they're point guards, and that's their natural position. But in terms of what they're playing on their team, in terms of playing off ball, sometimes just your job is to go get a bucket, and then we play off of you scoring wise. You could argue that. I don't like how on the list I feel like they kind of copped out by having multiple people in different positions or whatever. I think that's a cop out. I think that's corny because.
But yeah, we're gonna get into that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'll agree with Luka at 1, and I'll go probably Steph 2.
So for me with the point guard list, I completely agree with the point guard list. I like it from top to bottom. I got Luka at 1, like Ian and John said. There's really no question about it. At 2, I like Shea at 2. I'm going to keep him at 2 for the simple fact that OKC was the number 1 seed last year. They did make it out the first round, if I'm not mistaken. They got put out by Luka, who went on to go to the finals. So there's no knocking that. It's not like he lost to anybody else. Because he lost to Luka, and Luka as number 1, I'm fine with him being 2 on this list.
Okay.
And then Steph at 3, I'm perfectly fine with that. And I love that they acknowledge Jalen Brunson because of the year that he had last year and that run in the playoffs. You got to put him at number 4.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't try to throw Dame in there.
I'm glad to no disrespect to Dame, no disrespect to Kyrie and things like that. But I love the fact that they gave Jalen Brunson his respect and put him in there at 4. So I have no complaints with the point guard list.
Cool.
So we're going to move ahead to the shooting guard list. What you guys think about that?
I was sitting here contemplating going back and forth before we started filming because the numbers say Ant in terms of his role on his team and the franchise that he played for, how he got them to where they're at and competing last year, the hype around him, the expectations, and how it just kind of did a 360 midway through the year. Not that we didn't have high expectations for him, but it went from they gonna compete to now we in the playoffs and we expected him to get to the finals. The numbers, I think he was 27, like 6.5 and 5 or something like that. But I think that's on paper and that's numbers, that's production. If you look at the roles and who else Devin Booker is playing with, I still think to the eye test and just knowing what I know basketball wise, I still say Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the league right now.
Gotcha.
And got to do what he did last year, this year, and he can take over that spot. But if Book come out and do 27, 6 and 6 or something in that range, if KD take a step back and Book is killing all year, then Book is Book crown to give up.
I ain't mad at that at all.
So, hold on. Before you go, Johnny, I want you to talk about the rest of the list. Do you like Shea at 3 and Steph at 4 and Luka at 5?
Like I said, I don't really like that's the only reason I talked about them too, because I don't really think, like I said, in terms of system play, Steph and Shea are showing as a 2 guard because they're playing off the ball, but they're not shooting guards. So I don't really want to say that Shea is the second best point guard and the third best shooting guard in the league. He's playing point guard most of the time, and if he's off ball, he's just off ball.
Facts.
Alright, go ahead, John.
I think, I wrote down right there, is Ant really better? And I said it's close. Like, I think it's the same with why I feel like Luka don't have an MVP, right? Because I think the people that vote in the league is just tired of him killing. I also feel that way about Book. Like, Book has been in the league for, this might be year 8 or 9 for Book.
It might be year 10.
Year 9,
yeah,
right.
Maybe 10 because he came super young.
Book went 1 and done, and he been in the league for a while. I think that's the same thing with Book. Like, I think Ant is by far a better two-way player than Book is. Like I think if you look,
By
you know,
far?
yeah, Ant is a better defender than Book. You don't think so?
But alright,
No, he played defense, but I just think he's better
Yeah,
than him.
he is.
I'm not saying he's not better, but he said by far. Even if we not, again, I get it, it's the Olympics, but we just watched Book strap up for an entire
You're
summer.
absolutely right. Okay, not take that back. Maybe not by far, but Ant is a better defender than him.
Okay.
So that's why I think, you know, people think of Ant and think of him as a two-way. They don't think of Book like that. But I think it's, you know, because of the offensive load that he carries in the NBA. So this past season, one thing I want to shed light on too, when they was in the playoffs, this is why, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna tip my hat to Ant, and I would agree with the GMs. You saw Ant become ineffective when he was forced to make decisions with the basketball. Like if you watch them play and then watch the games get tighter and then the court gets smaller, he would, let's say he couldn't go, you know, full line drive to the basket, or his jump shot wasn't falling, he wasn't killing who was in front of him. Let's say you feed him one way and then you bring over help, he got to pick up the ball and make a decision. It was a couple games I watched where he has to throw a skip pass or swing it. It's a turnover or flying over his teammate's head. You don't get that with Book at all.
All right, now, not to cut you off. Not to cut you off. With that though, I'm not gonna let you get away with that completely. Yes, he became a passer towards the end of the year, but it was also in that closing series where he lost the last series that he played in. I think he averaged like 7 or 8 assists. So yes, he was turning the ball over and he was shooting less efficiently that game. But considering his numbers and assists also rose when he was forced to be that ball handler, and also considering that, like you said, this is about to be year 10 for Book, and this is year 4 or 5. Like you saying that is never the case with Book. Consider that as well. But my bad for cutting you off. Bro.
Consider what?
Just consider the disparity in terms of how long they've been in the league.
But I said it's never that with Book because Book has been in, you know, many a series in his career. It's the same with everybody. Like playoff basketball is very different than regular season basketball, and of course you're not gonna let said player do the same thing they were doing in the regular season. They're gonna have to operate differently. Well, I say it's never like that with Book because Book come into he can put a 70 piece on you, literally 60 piece on you. You're not gonna let him do that. So he has to become, let's say, a facilitator. I agree with you. He had 7 or 8 assists, but I think that's a product of, okay, you have to get the ball out of your hands. So what are you gonna do with it now? You're gonna pass it. You're gonna naturally get assists because your teammates aren't buns. But then you look at it from a totality standpoint and how he looked being a quote unquote facilitator and couldn't operate the same way he did. He took a step back, in my opinion. Like I think he said we took a step back.
I think he took a step back scoring wise for sure, but I don't disagree in terms of, like you said, like forcing him to be a different kind of player. It affected his play style. Also consider when you're talking about Book and the playoffs though, the first time that Book touched the playoff court, he was probably a 5th, 6th year NBA veteran as well, because he was in Phoenix losing year after year after year after year before he had to go to the playoffs and figure it out.
Got you. So I'm gonna give my opinion on the shooting guard list. So one thing I feel like y'all didn't consider is people that they didn't have on the list, and I definitely have a
Jalen
problem.
Green.
No,
we don't want to talk about Jalen Green.
Not Jalen Green. So when I'm looking at this list, for me, I consider JB a 2, and I consider JB a 3. And the reason why JB plays the 4 and JB plays the 3 is because Derek White is just that good that he needs to start with Drew Holiday in the backcourt. So cool. But I consider JB a 2. And if I'm going off JB being a 2, I'm still gonna have Ant. I'm still gonna have Ant at 1. I was looking real crazy.
I'm waiting to see what you're gonna say.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. I still got Ant at 1. I respect that, and the reason why I'm gonna go Ant 1 instead of Book being number 1, like you guys was arguing, like you said, Book's been in the league this either year 9 or year 10 for Book.
I think it might be 9.
I'm not judging him off of him baking in the regular season. I don't really care to see that no more. You're at the point where now you're a veteran in the game. I need to see you go perform in the playoffs. The last 2 years you've been swept.
Definitely got
In
swept.
the first round. The last 2 years you've been swept, my man. So
I wasn't even thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel. But you can't be the best shooting guard in the league and you've been swept the last 2 years. That's number 1. Number 2, like I think Ian brought up, you was losing year after year after year until you got a Chris Paul, and he got the most he could out of DeAndre Ayton, and Mikal Bridges got there and y'all was able to do something. But Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton was there before Chris Paul was there. You wasn't getting nothing out of them. And then before they got there, y'all wasn't really doing too much of nothing. So I'm not gonna go Book number one. I'm gonna go Ant number one because what he did in that short amount of time is impressive to me, and what he was doing in the playoff before he got slowed up. Because I do think he slowed down, but at the same time, that was his first time in the postseason.
He went deep into the playoffs. Exactly. They say he ran out of gas.
Finals.
He said that. He said he ran out of gas.
Western Conference Finals, his first time in the postseason. We got to take that into consideration. So I'm going to leave him at 1. At 2, I'm going to go JB. I'm going to go JB over Book because JB just won the championship and he was just finals MVP. Y'all can all y'all want. At 3, I'm going to move Book down to 3 on the shooting guard list. And I'm actually going to take off Shea and Steph and Luka because I don't like them.
That's cool. Yeah, bro, get out of here.
They're not shooting guards. And so at 4, I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell at 4, and then I don't care who y'all put at 5.
Okay. I'm that's my man too. Mitch my man. I'm starting to get tired of him too. Like
Really?
the same way you talking about
But
The playoffs.
I feel like
that same help with Darius Garland
he-
and the center that just said the lights was too bright. Yeah, come on.
no, but he's also sometimes not putting his team in positions where we can't say what else could you have done. Like, yeah, they put him in tough spots, but then sometimes he's shooting 10 of 30 from the foot.
Got you.
Like, you still giving us reasons to grind you up.
In
And
his
you
past
doing
season,
this.
he was killing in the playoffs. I think he was averaging 30. His next closest teammate was like 12.
His last playoff run, he was hooping.
Yeah,
he was hurt.
He got to the play, but they also dropped in seeding. Granted, they got hurt and stuff like that. But he came back and he was You mean, like, he turned back up in the playoffs, but I feel like just throughout the season he too inconsistent. That's still my guy though, but he gotta show me like that we should be discussing him at like Ant surpassed him like that. We should have been up there at the top of the conversation and he's not.
Because once Hard
Exactly.
was who next, and he was in that discussion.
And now he's
Book and
For
couple people.
debatably,
Yeah.
arguably.
So we're gonna move ahead to the small forward. So the GM voted JT the number 1 small forward for the Celtics with 47% of the vote. At number 2, you got Luka for Dallas with 17% of the vote. Also tied for 2, you got KD for Phoenix with 17% of the vote. Also tied for 2, you got Bron for the Lakers with 17% of the vote. And then at number 5, you got JB with 3% of the vote. So yeah.
You corny, though.
Can you go first on this, John, bro?
Y'all want me to go first? Okay, yeah, I'll go first. So I'm completely fine with JT at number 1. He just won the chip, and whether he was the best player on the team or not, he was either 1A or 1B every night. So you can't take nothing away from him. KD got swept. You can't. He did.
He said, per my last email.
Yeah, KD got swept. You can't put KD over Bron and them struggled into the playoffs and then struggled out the playoffs. So you can't put Bron over him. So I agree with JT at 1.
They got swept too, right?
I know they won one. They won one.
Gentleman
They won
Joe.
like game 3. Yeah, they was about
Gentleman
to
Joe.
swap or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. They won, yeah. Then they thought they was about to do the same thing.
Come back.
Yeah.
No.
No.
So yeah, JT at 1. I'm taking Luka off the list. He's not a consideration.
Absolutely.
He's on the point guard list.
He's not even close to being a small forward.
So I'm gonna keep KD at 2.
He's not his consideration.
Even though KD got swept, it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it wasn't KD that laid the egg. He laid the egg in one of them 4 games, but the other 3 games he showed up. It was Devin Booker and it was Bradley Beal that were consistent. So KD, he played good the last playoff series, though they got swept. So I got KD at 2. I'm fine with Bron at 3, and then for 4 and 5, it's between.
Wait, so who 2?
2 is KD. I'm keeping KD at
Okay.
2. I got KD at 2. I got Bron at 3. And then at 4 and 5, you can either put any combination of Jimmy, Kawhi, and PG, however you want to put it. I don't really care.
So I agree. I like it. JT is obviously number 1. I don't even gotta elaborate. JT's number 1. I am gonna swap. And the only reason I don't want to put Bron
Behind KD?
no at number 1, because you just gotta put some respect on JT. Like you say, he won a chip and that boy nice. But Bron is right there behind JT. I don't personally. I've never will think KD is better than Bron. Even this being year 21, 22 of Bron, and KD is like year whatever 17. He's just not better than him. And even though the season they just played, like you say, KD got swept. So you can't even say the past season that they had, because Bron's still out there doing 25, 8 and 8 at 40. So it really don't matter. And then after Bron, I'll do KD. And beyond that, I don't care. Not at all.
For me, you said you consider JB a 2. I think him and JT both 3s.
Okay.
JB, what, 6'7", 6'8" maybe, but like I think they both 3s for real. He just jumped. Not he just jumped, but like I don't consider him a 2 guard. And that considered JT is one, like he said, I go Brian, KD, JB, and then at 5 I will put Paul George. Kawhi didn't play last year. I'm tired of talking about Jimmy, especially in the regular season. And last year the playoffs didn't match what usually before it was Jimmy's absent in the regular season. He turned up in the playoffs and he go do something. Last year it wasn't that Jimmy was home. You see, this year he came to training camp. He don't got no sew-ins or no goddess locks.
Yeah, he's not messing around this year.
Play ball now. Like it's not funny games no more. I'm 33. Let's go play. So, like he said, I agree with the Bron statement. Like I'm not gonna say. I think it was 1 or 2 years in the last 5 or 6 that you could argue that KD was playing better basketball than Bron. But that was also probably just because, not just because, but also considering predicament and what the team success was overall. Last year, I don't see that. Phoenix dropped a little bit in seeding, and Brian was playing the same way the whole year. His team got hurt, people was missing, lineups was changing, coach, problems with that drama and all of that. Brian was the same boy all year, so that's why Brian is at 2. You can't deny KD is 3, and I go, like I said, JB, Paul George after that.
All right.
So yeah, I'm gonna just listen. I don't disagree with you whether you want to put Brown at 2 or KD at 3. I was cool with them both being tied for 2. That's how I look at it. I don't really care which one is either or. So moving on to the power forward list. So this list kind of irritated me. This is the most laziest list, I think. So at number 1 you got Giannis with that played for the Milwaukee Bucks with 77% of the vote. At number 2, you got Kevin Durant for Phoenix with 7% of the vote. And then a few other people that received votes was Anthony Davis, Draymond Green, Domantas Sabonis, JT, and Victor Wembanyama. So
that's that crazy.
I'm gonna do the opposite for this one. I'm gonna do the opposite of what I did for Book and when that John I said at the eye test, like numbers say Ant, but looking at basketball and what I know, I'll give it the Book. Eye test, we would say AD, skill set, all of that at number 2 after Giannis. We haven't talked about that. But numbers wise and production wise, what he do for his team, I'm gonna go Bam at number 2. Gotcha. And we had this conversation already how Bam is not a 5, he playing out of position, but he's just so great at, like, I was really considering if I was gonna put him at 3 for my center. I'm trying to argue who I'm going, but he's a power forward, so I'll go Giannis, Bam, AD. After that, Sabonis, and then anybody else after that is honorable mention. I'm not putting Draymond at 5. Draymond still matters to his team, but I'm no.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, no.
I agree. I think, like you said, production for his team. Giannis, that's probably the power forward and PG, probably the 2 obvious ones in my opinion. So Giannis is not close. Beyond that, I heavily agree with you. The point you just made on Artest and Bam and his production. Right. I gotta give it to AD though for the number 2 spot, but it's close. AD and Bam. AD just because of the season he came off of finally being healthy. Like this year, and I think the year before that, he was very seldomly battling injury. Mm-hmm. He's still getting nicked because it's A Disney, but like he was on the healthiest he's been in a while, and then you saw the type of production that he's able to give you when he's not hurt. Mm-hmm. Only thing I don't like this year, like Bam keep hooping, this will probably overlap him. One thing I don't like, I feel like a lot of times when they do play, because he's playing opposition, but when they do play teams that have, another really good power forward, another really good center, he don't shrink, but the production not the same.
Bam.
No, AD.
AD.
Absolutely. And then after that, I go Sabonis. And then truthfully, after that for me is honorable mentions. I just go with the 3s.
And I'm not gonna lie, Jokic, not Giannis, but Jokic and who else? Somebody else be killing AD. But Jokic,
Sabonis be killing AD.
That's who,
he be cooking. That's what I'm talking about. He be cooking AD.
In the last 13
Oh my god, bro! Like
He be frying
and
AD,
I,
bro.
you know I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm a Brown fan, so I'm watching the games like, bro, like what is happening right now? Like,
Big
and then AD in the West on the Lakers team talking the same way Bam talking, like I don't want to play center. Nigga, you are not Bam. You're not 6'9". Stop saying that. Sabonis plays center comfortably, 6'8". For real, like
Barbecue chicken alert. Barbecue chicken alert.
every time.
Barbecue chicken alert.
So my power forward list, I got Giannis at number 1, rightfully so. I'm gonna say too much about it. At number 2, I'm gonna lean towards John's side. I got AD at number 2. At number 3, I'm gonna go Cam. And then somebody y'all didn't mention who I think name needs to be said. At 4, I'm gonna go KP. When healthy, KP is a problem at the power forward position. He's a rim protector. He can score on all 3 levels. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot the 3, the mid range. He can make free throws.
Okay.
You got it.
Why are we leaving him at power forward?
So I'm leaving him at power forward. I get that the Celtics got him playing the 5 right now, but I feel as though that's because they got everybody sliding down 1. When he was with Dallas, he played the 4. They sent him with Maxi Cleveland. When he was with Dallas, he played the 4. And when he was in New York, he played the 4. He's a 4. He can play the 5. He got the height to play the 5. But they've been playing him at the 4 all his career. Boston is the only team that's playing him at the 5.
That's very true.
Do you think Chet is a 4 or 5? Not that this
I
is
think Chet
related
is a
right
4.
now. Okay. But Wemby is a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wemby is Wemby, but
Yeah, and Chet, the only reason why Chet is not on the list because he was just a rookie.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing him, but-
okay.
He not ready.
But yeah, but he's a power forward whose name we're going to be talking about soon. He's a
For
power
sure.
forward. He's not a center.
Yo, did you see the video I sent you earlier? They tried to fix his jump shot.
It looked terrible.
We might not be talking about him soon.
True.
I'm
It's
sure
like
the
McHale.
video when we get out of here, but no.
So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna move along to the center spot. So, I'm gonna get into it. At number 1, they got.
True.
At number 1, they got Jokic with 87% of the votes that played for the Nuggets. At number 2, they got Joel Embiid with a measly 10% of the votes that played for the 76ers. And then at number 3, they got Victor that played for San Antonio with 3%. So, what you guys think about that?
I think it's right. I'm taking Yoke. Production standpoint. I mean, I don't really. Not to say how you can't pick Yoke, but I Joel is obviously a very talented basketball player. If you look at it from a number standpoint, from a health standpoint, from a playoff standpoint, Yoke hasn't beat. There are things Joel can do that Yoke can't. Like I think Joel is a better defender than Yoke. I think we probably would all agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, it's not much that he doesn't have. The lopsidedness of the voting kind of fried me. Like 87 to 10 to 3.
Same exact.
That's my only plight. And one thing I did right here, next year, Wemby possibly. Like I think he would have to do a lot to overtake them 2 guys. Like you got a scoring champ and a MVP in Joel. Then you have a 2-time MVP, and then talk about all the All NBAs and All Stars.
Finals MVP.
Yeah, Finals MVP.
like Tetris, baby. So man, I ain't even going.
We got a special guest in this
We got a
job.
special guest in this joint. We gonna get him out of here. All right, we green. You got a 2-time MVP. You got a 2-time MVP, Finals MVP, multi-time All NBA, and Yoke. So I think Wemby has a lot to do, add to his resume before he beats those 2 guys. But boy, he was playing 30 minutes a game this year, and he was going stupid. That's one thing I feel like a lot of people don't realize this year too. With Wemby,
He was on minute
he was
restriction.
on a minutes restriction, averaging 22, I think 12 and 4 blocks. After this year, I'll be bitten when I say call it the Victor Wembanyama Award for DPOY. But if he don't
should've
win
won this year.
DPOY, he should have. If he don't win DPOY every year, barring injury, then that's just voter fatigue. But he should.
So what you got?
I think the order is correct. I think that I agree. I'm happy about the lopsidedness in terms of percentages. I don't think that the skill set or the production is lopsided, but I think in terms of
Actually,
the accolades, and then also in terms of, I don't want to say impact, because Joel is the Sixers, right? I think Joker is the system. I think that's why I agree with the lopsidedness of the voting, because Joel gonna come out on the court and give you production. He gonna give you numbers. He helped, just based on how good he's playing, the people around him are elevated. But the difference between him and Jokic is actively
Making people better.
making people better, actively coaching up on the team. I think that his mannerisms as a leader is much better. Y'all know I grind Joel up year in, year out as a leader. Now, do I think that he's growing as a leader? Yes, but I think Jokic has been where Joel is now for years.
You kind of seen it in the Olympics too.
You see it in the Olympics. You see it in terms of how how the team responds to him whenever they talk to Jokic in interviews. Jamal Murray's our best player. We got to play through him. I just like how Jokic carry it better, and for you to carry it better. I think that Joel might be a more complete player because of what he make up for on the defensive end. If you doing a 2K build, like Joel is a more evenly balanced player, but where he make up on the offense, like Jokic hides his flaws better. I feel like.
Definitely.
And so for that, like I'm cool with. I think that the lopsided is okay. If Jokic a 98 and Joel a 97.5, you still gotta lock that in, and it's clear that that's a 98 and that's a 97.5. So I'm cool with that.
So I feel the same exact way. Like you can't argue it based on what Jokic have done. The fact that he got the Finals MVP and he got the ring, 2-time MVP. So you can't really argue with that. And so the lopsidedness is again giving me a problem. I don't like the fact that he got 87% compared to 10%.
Should have been 70-30.
Because I just feel like that's so disrespectful to Joel. I don't think Joel gets the respect he deserves. Partially is his fault, but partially is not his fault because at the end of the day, every single season that he didn't go into the postseason healthy was not his fault. You can't blame that year with the Raptors. One, the coach should have never had him in the game. That's one. Two, why are you going and trying to fight for a rebound and pulling Joel's arm out of place? The game is over.
Yeah, that was nutty.
Y'all down 17 with like a minute, 20 seconds. Like, come on, bro.
So can we hold him accountable for the game that everybody blamed Ben and why Ben got traded? And I think Tobias also didn't play well. And Joel had 37, 8 assists, and 7 turnovers. And like 2 or 3 of those turnovers was in the last 3.5 minutes.
Turnovers. And 2, you are the best player on the floor.
By far. And y'all was up 24 games straight.
And y'all got a lead in the closeout game. And you're on the floor.
We talking about Trey, right?
Yeah,
we talking about Trey, right?
Yes. Okay. You don't lose that game.
It wasn't just one game neither. They blew every game in that joke.
4 games in a
They blew every game in
4 games in a row.
You don't lose. You're on the floor. You don't lose that. So yes, that's definitely on. So yeah, I'm fine with Joel at 2. The percentages just gotta be a little higher. Victor at 3. I'm fine with that. And then at 4, I would put Sabonis at 4 only because the Sacramento got him playing the 7 now. He was a 4 his whole life, but since he got there, they told him you will be playing the 5, and that's what he's been playing the last 2.5 years. And he don't care. So and the numbers he's putting up, even though the team is not having that much success, he's having success individually. So I will put him at 4. He gotta be on the list.
No, cannot. Go ahead.
Do we know who at 5?
At 5,
I think we know. Just go ahead and say your man, bro. You know
you wanted to bring him up so bad. She ain't going at 5.
We know. I thought you was gonna have him at like 3 over Wemby and Sabonis. I won't lie.
Yeah, not yet, but he is baby Joker. In the next few years, this gonna be his league. He gonna be number 2 over Joel. Joker's still gonna be running the show for like maybe 2-3 more years after that. Say no. But one thing real quick though, just to kind of put something into perspective, right? You say you don't like the percentage difference in terms of voting, right? Mm-hmm. If I ask you right now who the best in the league right now, like if you have to pick one or the other, not who would you rather run your team, who's the best in the league right now? What's your answer?
Joel Embiid, and my answer is Joel Embiid, because if you ask me who the best center in the league right now, like you said, this is not who you want to run your team and not who accomplished the most. Who is the best player? If I'm looking at these 2 guys right now, I'm going off a Jokic skill set, Joel Embiid skill set. What I know Jokic can do, what I know Joel Embiid can do, both fully healthy, Joel Embiid, and there's no doubt in my mind. I'm not thinking about that question. I'm taking Joel every time.
I'm saying Yoke. Like I think it's debatable. Like I'm not mad that he said that, but I think Yoke because, like you said, you take both players. I think it's like you said. You might have said it. Yoke masked his part of the game very well. Mm-hmm. But when y'all said it, and I think it's something that he masked himself on the defense. Like, he's not no slouch. He's just not Joel. But I think it is an aspect of Joker's game that Joel just doesn't have.
Exactly.
It's passing ability.
Exactly.
Joker has averaged a triple-double officially, I think, one time. But every year, he's 27, 9, and 9 or whatever. Like, let's say Joel give you 35, 40. Jokic is going to give you 32. Like, that's a couple points. But where Joel's give you 4 assists, 5 assists, which I think probably is his career average, Jokic is doubling that. It's far more production on the court.
And Joel upped his numbers assist-wise last year, especially towards the end of the year. He started having 7, 8 assist games more often, right? But that's also because you're the system. As soon as you get the ball, you're getting double. You have to, like you said, in terms of how he was looking at and assists in the playoffs. Like, some of these assists you have to get just because you're getting the ball out your hand. Right. Again, I've been watching, I was about to say, I'm going to chill. I've been watching Joel since he's been in the league, since he's been on the team, obviously. He's getting better with beating double teams. He still cannot do it consistently. He still will get double team and turn the ball over like that. Yeah. Why I'm picking Jokic is because Jokic can have 5 shot attempts, have 5 points this game, and control the entire game and make sure that the Nuggets win the game. If Joel have 5 shot attempts and score 5 points, there's no way in hell we win that game. Unless Tyrese Maxey scored 50 points, and I think we watched it in the playoffs, and Joel had like 13.
And I went over here and I screamed out, the Sixers did not win that game.
Tyrese Maxey did. Exactly.
Won that game.
Exactly.
That was the OT game?
Yes.
Right?
That's the 50 in OT. Mm-hmm. That's the only way we win the game. So that's why I'm going to pick Jokic. I think that the Sixers fan and Will, if he was here, would say Joel, but
deep down in his heart,
I'm low-key glad Will. I'm low-key upset that Will missed this episode. But one last thing I do want to add for this. So when you talking about their numbers, I get that, and B not gonna get the assist that Jokic got. But so say they both going to the game, right? Okay, if you talking about they base stats bottom line, okay, you got Jokic, he gonna give you what, 25 points, 8 or 9 assists, 12 rebounds, right? Okay, cool. Baseline, Joel Embiid, he going to the game, he gonna give you what, 33, 34, 5 assists, 9, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks. Which stat line you taking? I'm going to take Joel's stat line. I'm cool with that stat line.
For sure, I'm going to take Joel's stat line. If you're looking at it straight like that. But I'm going to take Joel's stat line because the assist, because it's coming from a center, I'll take 4 or 5 assists from a center. I'll take a stat line like that. But if you look at deeper numbers in terms of the metrics of basketball, which we don't have in front of us right now, but if you consider, and you look at plus minus, I guarantee Jokic's numbers smash Joel's because it's not just assists, it's not just I'm giving the ball up and you score that. But again, sometimes Jokic is literally the system. It's not I got double teamed and you can't do anything about this. He's passing people open.
So you were taking those numbers because of numbers or because of how it looked?
So I'm taking the numbers because of how I look, where it is in the category. Okay, 34 points from 33, 34 from my center. That's telling me you had a dominant game. I love that. 10 rebounds. That's telling me you was on the glass. I love that. 2 blocks. That's telling me you wasn't just worrying about scoring and rebounding. You was on the defensive end blocking the ball. 4 or 5 assists. Okay, that's telling me every time you touch the ball, it's not put my head down, score. Sometimes you looking when you get double teamed. Sometimes you getting the ball at the top of the key and you looking for the passer. Not saying every time you got to go down and do that because you are my center. I don't need you to do that. Now, understand Jokic can do that. He have the ability to do that. So the Nuggets run their offense through him. But as a center, that's not what you want your center to do. Now, if we're talking point guard, I would prefer to have Jokic numbers if we're talking about from a point guard perspective.
So I would disagree because I think, you know, like their points is like Joel, let's say 33, Jokic 25, that's what, 8 points, 4 buckets. Why I asked you that, how it look, or because of the numbers? Because I feel like you said, Joel had a dominant game if he put up 33 and ran down his stats. I think you have to make Joel get 33. That kind of makes sense. Like, Joker go his 25, and you not gonna feel that 25, but you gonna look up and be like, yo, he got 25, almost 30. That's just the flow of the game. He done gave you 10 assists. Like Joel, you
from our point of view, like the offense, we're feeding him.
Yes. There we go. Yeah. Like you gonna come down the court and be like, Joel, high post, go to work. And I think that's a hindrance to how, not how you can win the game because you still scoring 30, but how the flow of the game is operating, how the players around you. Yes, that's why I asked you that because I think Jokic and that all comes into effect in the course of the game. Like, because I think Joel getting that 33, he's obviously taking more shots, but Joel in general takes more shots. That's why, your teammates can thrive and, have that boost like, our center gonna give us 25 and he gonna look out for us, you and your man. Like,
exactly. The crazy part is, even with Joel taking more shots, their efficiency is around the same. So it's not like he's less efficient. He's still efficient. So I mean, you can debate it all day. It's not like it's not a mismatch battle. Like you can really go either or.
Right.
So I mean,
Sorry to my Sixers fans, but Yoke one of them. So is Joel.
yeah. So if we don't have anything else, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. And we're gonna catch y'all next week in the studio. We appreciate everybody that tap in week after week. We definitely appreciate y'all.
yes, sir.